Shalom. We just had the holiday of Shavuot, the receiving of the Torah. We gave a little talk called Receiving the Torah Like Moses. And we found this amazing piece of prayer in the Shabbos morning davening. And we started to understand it. We started to explain it. And very briefly, the verse reads, Yishmach Moshe b'matan helko ki even ne'eman karata lo klil tifer b'rosho natata b'amadon lefanecho har Sinai. And then we stop there. That's the whole thing. And we explained it, that each phrase is a step in a transformation. First of all, the word yismach is also the letters, if you split the word in half, yesh moach. There's a brain. There's a mental power. There's a mental power in the world, and every person has a piece of that collective, unbelievable brain of the creator of the universe. And Moses, he was very happy with his portion. So that's the first way you get in the gate of the transcendency, is through be happy, and be happy with your portion. And then in his portion, Moses went on, he was called a faithful servant. So that's a pretty high rank in God's eyes, to be called faithful to God as a servant. Right, so that's even more reason to be happy. And then we included this idea, klil tiferet, berosh o, that his heart and his mind became one. That the heart is the feeling center, the mind is the thinking center. And when your heart and your mind are one, your heart informs your thoughts with feelings, and your thoughts inform your heart with ideas. And the two working together create this union of power in a person. And then we also learned that he was standing on Mount Sinai. Now, the new idea here, it's an intense idea. Mount Sinai, the rabbis teach us Sinai. Why is the mountain called Sinai? Because 10 portions of hate came down to the world. The world started to hate the Jews because they felt God was favoring us. And the Jews presented all this moral law, this metaphysical responsibility we have to each other in creation, and they didn't like that at all. And so 10 portions of hate came out into the nations for the Jews. You want to know where anti-Semitism comes from? Well, it's so deep we can't even go there, but that's the direction. And so Moses, though he got to the level of he was able to deal with the hatred of others, he had all kinds of people coming against him. His entire career, the people were challenging Moses, the non-Jews, the Jews, the insiders, the outsiders, the religious, the non-religious, the warriors, the politicians, the businessmen. They were all coming against Moses. And he learned to deal with all of them and their hate. And when you look at it afterwards, you see that the hate propelled Moses to a higher and a higher level. And that's getting the Torah out Mount Sinai. And then we go to the next level, which is really outrageous. 2 tablets of stone. He brought down in his hands. So, of course, the simple idea is that he had these 2 tablets of stone that God carved with the Etzbe Elohim, the finger of God. And Moses came down with them. But the inside understanding is Shnei Luchot Havanim Horid B'yado. God brought down these 2 tables, these 2 stones of laws into Moses' body, into his hands, into his being. They were written in him. V'katuv behem shmirat Shabbat. And it's written over there, keep Shabbat. Keep the laws. Keep the positive commandments, what we do, and keep the negative commandments, what we don't do. But what does it mean? 2 tables of stone were brought down in his hands. It means that God rewrote his software, because it's elsewhere. We learned another verse, Natati lehem Torati. God says, I gave you my Torah, the most awesome gift you could ever give. V'katavti belibachem. And I wrote it in your hearts. So there's the level of netina, of giving the Torah to the Jewish people, giving the Torah to Moses. And then there's the idea of writing that Torah in your heart. And writing it in the heart is where it becomes you. It becomes your software. It becomes your collection of personal commands that you live by. It's no longer just God's Torah. It's yours because you live it. It's flowing through you. It's commanding you without you knowing it. And the rabbis say that Abraham, the first patriarch, he didn't have a Torah, but he already kept all the commandments because he knew from the inside out what to do and not to do in all situations, down to the finest details of the law, which if anybody studied the Talmud and the poskim, then you'll know how much detail there is. That your being knows what to do because your being is a part of the eternal being. When it gets written in your heart, when it gets written from the stone of the heart into your hands, like it did for Moses, and then and it's written over there, you're going to keep Shabbat. Once you keep Shabbat and you know what it's like to take a day off and turn off the outer world and turn on the inner world of Shabbat, you'll never want to go back. You'll never want to experience something besides Shabbat because you see there's so much more. And the rabbis say that on Shabbat, every Jew is like a king because no one can tell you what to do on Shabbat. During the weekday, they can tell you, go, I want you to get on a plane and go fly to China, right? Or I want you to take that load of lumber, put it in the back of the truck and take it out to the construction site. There's plenty of people that'll tell you what to do. But on Shabbat, nobody can tell you what to do because you're the king of your little realm, your house, and your family is part of that. And you work together to keep Shabbat. And suddenly you realize that we are part of the King of the universe. So my friends, I want to bless you with the receiving the Torah and then having it written in your heart, written in your hands, written in your mind. And you will never be the same again. Shabbat Shalom.